This video is about a definition of a limit, and this is what the limit notation looks like. We read it as the limit of f of x equals L as x approaches a. Most of the students got confused by this limit notation because of the word equal here. They look at this equal sign, they look at this word equal, they thought this limit notation must have something to do with f of x equals L or x equals a. But actually, our limit notation has nothing to do with them. What limit really represents is this idea of approaching. What it really means is f of x approaches L as x approaches a. To understand this, let's use myself as an example to practice writing the limit notation. If Mr. John's dream is to become a millionaire at the age of 50, since I'm approaching a millionaire as my age approaches 50, the limit notation will look like Mr. John equals millionaire, and the limit sign at the front, age approaches 50. Even though there's an equal sign, it represents Mr. John approaches a millionaire. And then before we dive into real math, there's one more thing we should keep in mind about this limit notation. It is used to represent where the f of x approaches when x approaches certain places. This f of x represent output and x represent input, which means the value we have on the right hand side of the equation is the value for output, and where x approaches should be underneath this limit sign. That's how we write the limit notation. Now let's practice writing some real limit notations. From this graph, it's not that hard for us to tell that actually x approaches 2, f of x approaches 4. So our limit notation will look like 4 on the right hand side, f of x, limit x approaches 2. And that's it. And then sometimes we need to write the limit notation from a table. And the same thing here, we just need to find out where x approaches and then where f of x approaches. From the value we have for x values, those two columns, we can see x is approaching 2. And for the values for f of x, it looks like f of x is approaching 4. So the limit notation is f of x equals 4, limit x approaches 2. There's one more tricky thing about limit. Like I said, even though there's a word equal here, what it really represents is f of x approaches L. And the same thing for x value. It is x approaches a, not x equals a. We only care about where f of x approaches as x is close to a. We never consider x equals a. Actually, we don't even care whether f of x is defined at this place x equal to a. And there are 3 graphs for us to practice this idea. The first one is really straightforward. As you can see, x approaches a, f of x approaches L. So the limit notation is f of x equals L, limit at the front, x approaches a. For the second one, we have the solid and open circle here. They're trying to confuse us, but like I said, we just need to focus on where x approaches and where f of x approaches. So if we're traveling on this curve, as we're getting close to a horizontally, we're getting close to L vertically. So x approaches a, f of x approaches L. Our limit notation should be the same as the last one. So f of x equals L, limit x approaches a. This solid circle and this open circle are telling us that when x equals a, f of a does not equal L. But this has nothing to do with our limit. It's more of a distraction. Our limit is about how the function behaves as x get close to a, not equal to. And then for the last one, we have an open circle here. You represent this f of x is undefined as x equals a. But like I said, this is more of a distraction. When we write down our limit, it has nothing to do with the limit. We just need to focus on where x approaches and where f of x approaches, which is the same as the last two. So our limit notation is f of x equals L, limit x approaches a. we have 3 different graphs, but their limits are the same. And now let's take a look at one AP style question. They give us a graph. They want us to figure out the limit of f of x as x approaches 2, which is the same thing as asking where f of x approaches as x approaches 2. If we look at the graph, as we're getting close to, our y value is getting close to 4, and that's the answer. So the answer is C. This solid circle represents f of 2 equals 1. Like I said, it's more of a distraction. It has nothing to do with our limit. And that's it.